Hey everybody, this is Frankie Drinks and welcome to Sticks and Sips, the Drew Estate Virtual Happy Hour. I am so honored to be here with you again for the most awesomest episode ever, uh, at least for season two. But I am incredibly honored to have such an amazing show, to have you guys tune in with us, Drew Estate, the virtual happy hour every week. So make sure you guys check in on that chat. Check in from your neighborhoods because I love seeing where you guys are coming from all over, all parts of the U.S., all parts of the world. And tonight we've got a great happy hour menu for you. So I'm going to say let's go right to that menu because I am so excited about tonight. So first of all, I'm going to start with a cocktail because what's a happy hour without a cocktail? It's called the Sweet Widow, and I'll show you what that's all about in a minute. Our sips tonight, Widow Jane bourbon whiskey. So super excited about this. Our guests, I've got Lisa Wicker from Widow Jane, and I've got the Ladies of the Liga. This is the episode you've all been waiting for, part two. And the stick tonight, what else could it be? It's got to be our Sweet Jane. So we're pairing a Sweet Jane with our Widow Jane. What a great way. So pairing Deadwoods, and more importantly for all you guys that tune in every week, we've got our giveaway. So not only do we have our giveaway, which is our Sticks and Sips hat and this beautiful Cigar cutter, our little Sticks and Sips cutter, but we also have one beautiful H99 bag for one lucky winner. So what do you got to do to win? All you got to do is hashtag Ask Frankie Drinks, ask a great question, and if we pick your answer, you are a winner. And one question will win the H99 bag. So get those questions in, get them in early, make sure that they're good. And when we pick your question, we got 5 winners tonight, and one of those will win the bag. So I'm ready to get started. So listen, let's go to the Zoom lounge first because we got a lot of great people. So I'm going to go into my co-host for week 40, whatever, my man, Joey Drew. How you doing?
Okay. I'm doing good. I'm hanging out. I think my wife is a little jealous tonight. She's like, really? Really? You're not coming home tonight? You're staying on a Zoom show with a bunch of lovely ladies? And yes, I am. And I'm proud to do it with some amazing people that I'm proud to work with every single day. And really looking forward to hearing Lisa's story about Widow Jane. It's a spirit that I've enjoyed for many, many years, as you have as well. And so let's get on with it. Let's do it.
Are you ready to do this? I see you're excited. So, my apologies to the wife, but hey, man, it's a tough job. Somebody's got to do it.
Someone has.
Uh, Listen, I'm going to start with our host, with our special guest, Lisa Wicker from Widow Jane. Lisa, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm sorry I've got the boring backdrop. I've been in the distillery all day, the steel-toed boots and the 25-degree wind chill in the distillery because we don't have any heat. And I threw in the towel and chickened out and came home. Sorry.
We'll take it. We'll take it. You have a lovely backdrop regardless, So welcome to Sticks and Sips. We're so happy that you're here with us, and we'll come back around. And thank you so much for joining us. Next, I've got my one of my favorite ladies from Drew Estate, who always brings the party, Miss Jenny Lynn. How you doing?
What's
See what I mean? How you doing, Jenny?
I'm living the dream over here, How you doing? That's the real question.
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm glad to see you went from the couch to the floor, but we certainly appreciate it. We certainly appreciate it. It just makes the trip a lot shorter. So listen, we had such a great time last time, and I'm super honored to have you back on. And we'll catch up in a little bit. Next up, I got my good friend Kara. How you doing, Kara?
I'm great. And all I have to say is when you said she always brings the party, I was like, don't say Kara. Don't say Kara. Thank you, Frankie. I love you. I'm good.
All right. Well, listen, Carol, we will catch up in a little bit, but it's always awesome to have you on. And next up, Izzy. Izzy, how you doing?
Hey, Frankie Drinks, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great. This is going to be such an exciting show. I can't wait to get this moving, and but it's always awesome to have you
Thanks for
on
having
board.
me with these beautiful women tonight. Yes.
And speaking of beautiful women, right? Allie, how you doing?
Who, me? Hello.
Yeah, you're the only Allie on the broadcast, so
Well, I heard I it cut out for a second, so I was like, did he say Holly? There's a Holly here? I'm well. I'm doing well. I'm eating my tacos. I'm having my beverage, smoking a cigar. Life is good.
that's fantastic. It's always awesome having you. And listen, we're just getting ready. We're just getting warmed up. So we have great things to discuss, and it's always good having you back on. And next, Robin, I'm gonna say hello to Robin, all the way from the frozen tundra of
Yes.
the Detroit area.
Hello, hello. Happy to be on again. Long time no see.
I know. So where's all the
Are you gonna curse?
where's all the
You talk like a
where's
truck
all the
driver.
Herrera swag? Where's the flags behind you? Where's
You want me to put it up? I can put it up.
No, it's good.
Okay.
You're good. You're always good. But Robin,
I got-
welcome to the show again. I love the paneling. It looks fantastic. So listen, guys, it wouldn't be a happy hour if we didn't have a cocktail. So I'm gonna ask my man Jack to show you guys how to make a Sweet Widow. So let's get started. So first, we're gonna start with little 2 ounces of Widow Jane 10-year. Fantastic base for this. A little 1 ounce of dry vermouth. This is a riff on a Brooklyn, and that's a call out to where the distillery is at. We'll talk a little bit more about that. A little maraschino liqueur, a little 1/2 ounce, some Angostura bitters, just to round it out. And last, you want to stir that to temperature. Some classic stirred drink. And then, the one piece we're missing here, you want a really well-chilled coupe glass, and then you want to throw a little Luxardo cherry on there. And that's my riff on the Brooklyn. I call it Sweet Widow. It's beautiful, very, very boozy, which is the way I like it. But it's such a great pairing with a Sweet Jane. Guys, you're going to love it. If you take it by itself, it's really boozy, a little bit on the dry side, but you get a Sweet Jane with it, and it's just a great pairing. You'll understand why it's called a Sweet Widow, and I'm super excited. And before I go, we've got Michelle tuning in, and Michelle's connecting to us. And Michelle, we just want to say hello. How you doing?
Hey, I'm great. How's everyone doing?
I'm doing great. I think the ladies are doing great. We're so glad that you joined us. And listen, you just missed the happy hour cocktail special. So let's all raise a little glass, and I want to say cheers to all the ladies at Drew Estate and to Widow Jane. Salute.
Salute.
I've got to run in to grab my cocktail. Sorry, I was putting out fires.
No worries, no worries. As long as they weren't real, like over at Robin's house. Anyway, so that's a different story. Anyway, so listen, here comes the first segment. I warned you, Lisa. I told you, right?
I can't
All
wait.
right. So here is I'm super honored to introduce my first guest. She is not only the president, but she's the head distiller of Widow Jane in Brooklyn, New York. So this is kind of such an amazing distillery with an amazing story. And I'm not going to take anything further because Lisa, you're going to tell us everything. So everybody, let's welcome Lisa Wicker from Widow Jane. Lisa, welcome.
I'm so happy to be here. Yeah, you know what? I can get in these like stream of consciousness, so you may have to yeah, I've had just, a little bit of whiskey. It was cold today. So yeah, Just
All
let me
right.
know where
Well,
you want to start and where you want to finish.
our entire show is built on stream of consciousness, you know? So we're ready for you. So Lisa, first, I want you to tell us about you. How did you get involved in the world of whiskey?
Oh my gosh, a long, long story. I mean, when you jump into it just the last few years, some of it doesn't make some sense. So I go all the way back to when I was, a kid growing up, and I grew up with a family, a dear friend, and his family had a winery, a little farm winery in the Midwest. And his dad was a law professor, and they knew that to make this family winery viable, they were going to have to get some farm winery laws. See, I already had enough whiskey laws passed. And so I was in their home getting my head around the idea that somebody could actually make alcohol for a living, right? They were celebrating some of their wins with the state government. And that winery has grown from, a concrete block garage in the late 70s to one of the 10 largest wineries outside the state of California. And it's in the Midwest. They made 700,000 cases of wine last year. So anyway, I get married and have kids, move all over the country. Their dad was in manufacturing, take odd jobs here and there. Always coming back to, wishing I was making wine somewhere. So anyway, so I come back to my home state, different city, end up being asked to be, I was working in the arts. I'd started a costume shop for a professional dance company and ran that for 6 years. Got asked to be a farmhand for a vineyard, and because somebody knew, what my past a little bit. And so I started as a farmhand, got hired by a winery. The gentleman there, the winemaker, he'd been the winemaker at the winery that I grew up with. And anyway, so he knew I didn't mind getting dirty and working hard. And 3 days in, I knew that's what I was supposed to be doing all this time. That was 20 years ago. And yeah, it's been a crazy ride. So 8 years, patched my education together, University of California, Davis, Purdue. My kids were growing up. And when my youngest graduated from high school, I got an offer to build a winery in Kentucky. They have a really old wine tradition there. And I picked Kentucky over a couple other job offers because I wanted to learn how to distill. The winemaker and I, he taught me how to drink whiskey, gave me the distillation bug. And we'd actually proposed to distill at that winery. And the production crew was my boss, his son, and myself. And his wife was smart and said, no, still here. So anyway, I meet Steve Beam after I moved to Kentucky. He's building Limestone Branch Distillery, literally, 6 miles down the road from where I'm building the winery. And we became fast friends, and we're each other's extra set of hands in the evenings and things. And so I spent a lot of time down there working on fermentations and starting to learn how to blend spirits, because it was quite a bit different than wine. And the winery looked like it was going to fold because the owners were in the middle of a spectacular divorce. This is absolutely spectacular. And so I resigned the winery, booked a ticket to Sonoma, because I thought I'm going to have to just go out there and work a harvest, come back to Kentucky and regroup after harvest. And Paul and Steve Beam took me to dinner the next night and offered me a full-time position with Limestone Branch, which is the old Yellowstone label. And I was there a couple of years until Luxco bought them, and then I got fired. Thought I was going back to winemaking, regrouped, and had 3 offers on the table before I knew it. And took one with Ted Huber's Starlight in Southern Indiana. Watched that whiskey; they're coming on strong. And thought I'd stay there. Then grew Colesbean of Willett. I ran into him at a family party in Kentucky, and he's like, "Lisa, I've been meaning to call you. I've got this project here in Bardstown. Some people we've done business with for years want to build the first craft distillery." So I did that. And then got called by Samson. I started my own consulting business, and my second big client was Samson in Surrey, who owns Widow Jane. And they said, "We want you to move." First they called me and I said no, because I said, "I've still got too much to learn in Kentucky." And my boss flew up from Miami and said, "I need to take you to dinner." And it's 10 minutes into dinner, I was like, okay, I'm going to work for this guy. He used to run Bacardi. He's British. He used to run Bacardi internationally. And with the scope of what I was going to be allowed to do, it was pretty stunning, and I knew I couldn't turn it down. So I traveled back and forth to Kentucky, and then they brought me on as director of distilling for all the brands. We had 5 in the portfolio at the time. We have 6 now. And then I was spending all my time at Widow Jane and trying to build a new, larger distillery here. And so they moved me into the position of president just over about 2.5 years ago. So it's been a wild ride. Yeah. And now I live in Brooklyn. I still have my house in Kentucky on Main Street in Bardstown, bourbon capital of the world. And then, but I live in Brooklyn 90% of the time these days. So craziness.
Well, I'm gonna drink to that because that was exhausting. Your journey has been truly amazing. So I'm gonna drink to that and drink to you.
It's incredible. Really incredible. I mean, and that's great too. It's like, it doesn't matter where you are in life, that you can still take those chances and still, go where the wind is going to take you and roll the dice. That's awesome.
Yeah. I get lectured by my children, but not so much anymore, because I tend to say yes and then figure it out, and then like, oh yeah, that means a move, right?
Well, I think a lot of our ladies share some of that, and we'll get to that. But Lisa, what I'm going to ask you, what are the 6 brands that you're watching?
Well, like I said, they moved me into Widow Jane when I was looking, working with all of them. It was we had not bought Tequila Ocho yet, but it was Mezcal Vago, Bren French Malt, Few, right? Philadelphia
All
Blue
the-
Coat, Widow Jane. Who have I forgotten? I think that's it. So, yeah.
Fantastic. I mean, if you guys should recognize these brands. They're truly, truly amazing. Fantastic products from Few to Philadelphia to Mezcal Vago. Shout out, because we just had him on last week, and that stuff is delicious. And my boy still got some left over, so we didn't do a really good job of consuming it. But we'll try harder next time, we promise. So first, I want to ask you, Lisa, give us a story of Widow Jane as a brand, if you don't mind.
Yeah, Widow Jane was founded, the distillery itself was founded 9 years ago. The business is a little older than that. It was Cacao Prieto. The previous owner had started a chocolate factory. And that's where the spirits came in, because down the road, he decided he was going to do a chocolate rum and ended up getting his DSP, his distilled spirits plant, and license. And they ended up sourcing a bunch of really fabulous whiskey. And they ended up bottling that and putting that out on the market and cutting it with the Rosendale mine water, which is, a major part of our story. And ended up with a cult following almost immediately. In fact, it's interesting because I remember when I first started distilling and Widow Jane was, hitting the market, it was such a niche brand. And yeah, and so so they continue with that. Samson and Surrey buys them 4 years ago. When they asked me to come on, that's one of the selling points, is when they started telling me what kind of whiskey they were sitting on and buying with this project. And then, they'd already sourced and bought some before I started. And then I've been able to buy, ever since then. But one of the visions they had for the brand was they wanted to keep the 10-year-old age statement. And with the single barrels, exhausting themselves and getting older, they knew that wasn't going to be, that wasn't going to work out, because so many people now, source and blend whiskey. And then they decided, like I said, it needed to be over 3 states, Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee. And they did leave it up to me to, determine how many barrels we wanted to put into the small batch. And I settled on 5 for the flagship. And that part's just been crazy. We're still sourcing ryes, but we're laying rye down. I tell people we have a split personality, because we've got like the sourcing blending part. I think I've blended 350 batches of flagship so far. And then we have, some like our older stuff, the 14 and 15-year-old, and our single barrel at 13. And then we have our ryes, and then we're laying down our own barrels. So we, for a couple of years in a row, we had the largest heirloom corn crop for whiskey in the United States. I grew in 3 different states. I am supposed to be building a larger distillery. COVID hasn't decided whether, what our timetable is on that anymore. so that got sidelined for a minute. And, but in the meantime, for the last 3 years, I've been laying barrels down in Kentucky. I grew most of the corn in Kentucky with Peterson Farms. They grow for the big guys. And we were their first craft project or heirloom corn project. And then my bosses paid for me to do a takeover at Castle and Key. So we use my heirloom corn protocol, which is substantially different than a yellow dent protocol, and their staff. And, I go back to Kentucky and oversee that. So that's really cool. And then we grow corn in upstate New York, and we bring all that production corn back here to Brooklyn to distill it here. So one of these days, I used to say I was going to repatriate everything to New York in 3 years, and that was pre-COVID. So I don't know how long it's going to take. We'll get
Well,
there.
Lisa, story's amazing. You lost everyone at heirloom corn.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right. So, I'm going to ask you, like, tell us about, a Yellow Dent 5, whatever. But, listen, tell us what heirloom corn is.
Do you have heirloom tobacco? Is there
Ah,
heirloom tobaccos?
It's not. It's
theoretic,
really
like
not the
theoretic-
term that we use necessarily in
Okay.
tobacco.
Okay.
right. But theoretically, it's when we're, Joey, I would say, would it be like when we're talking about our Corojos and our Criollos, and
Yeah,
when we're talking about the 98s and
Yeah, I mean, they
all
reference-
these seeds that we're trying to replicate are from a batch that came from a certain time, certain place.
I mean, they would call them, sometimes they reference them as like a legacy seed, stuff of that nature, a Cuban seed, obviously for a lot of people that know the source of tobacco seeds and stuff like that. But yeah, the heirloom word is not a word that has permeated into tobacco as of yet, but we might steal that.
Yeah, we're talking about the same thing. So my analogy always are heirloom tomatoes, right? We love a good hothouse tomato at the grocery store because it serves its purpose. It tastes good. But then, we all seek out heirloom tomatoes at the farmer's market, or we grow in our backyard because they don't ship very well, but they're all these different colors, and all the different colors represent all these different flavors and characteristics. And so, you might grow a Cherokee purple next to Mr. Stripey. And so people have been backbreeding all these seeds. And so the same thing's happened with corn. So yellow dent corn is the standard yellow corn that, they make fabulous whiskey out of, and cornflakes, right? And so heirloom corn are, people used to, the pretty different colored corn that you hang on your door at Thanksgiving actually has a purpose. It makes fabulous whiskey. And so people have been identifying all these different varietals, just like grape varietals, really. It's just the idea that different corns are going to influence the flavor of the whiskey different ways. So yellow dent, we all love yellow dent bourbons, right? We've all got our favorite whiskeys. We all have our favorite ones, but we always talk about the supporting grains on yellow dent. The is it wheated? Is it a wheated bourbon like Makers, or is it a high rye bourbon? And those supporting grains are the flavor grains. So that's the reason you have to have that discussion about what grains are being brought in to actually flavor that yellow dent. With heirloom corn's the flavor grain. So the supporting grains that I have to bring in, like for enzyme action, the malted grains, I actually, instead of using rye, I use malted rye, and then I use malted barley because the malted rye brings in like this heavy cream note, and then malted barley. But you don't want to compete with heirloom corn. You spend all this time and money and effort trying to find something absolutely delicious, and you want to showcase it. You don't want to over flavor it. So so that's the difference between yellow dent and heirloom corn. So you sound like you said legacy. They're legacy corns.
Yes, exactly the same term, different way. That's cool.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Wait a second. I think Allie's having a moment. So
Oh,
let's breathe this in. Allie, did you have a comment? And I would say, please feel free to ask, because this is the time,
I did have a question. So we know that in Peru they grow purple corn, and we use I love blue corn chips here.
Yes.
That are made from here. So are we, maybe I just haven't done the research, but have you ever thought about using any of these other types of corns for distilling?
Oh yeah, for 10 years, that's really, heirloom corns are really all I've ever distilled. So like when I was with Steve Beam at Limestone Branch, we used a white corn that was called Trucker's Choice, Trucker's Favorite. All has different it's always Trucker first, and then it has 2 or 3 different. And so, people got away from it years ago because you're trying to make money, make whiskey. So they went to yellow dent because they can grow, it yields a whole lot better, right? So you're trading off flavor for yield, and it makes sense, right? Everybody's trying to make a living, right? So then when I went to Starlight, we distilled a red and a white and a blue. Bloody Butcher was the red, Hopi Blue was the blue, which they make the blue corn chips out of. And we had another heirloom white there. And it's just so interesting how different the flavors are. So I get presented with corns that are purple and green and red and yellow. And so one of the first things I do is bake, Midwesterner by birth and Kentucky girl by choice. And so I always bake it into cornbread first, right? Because that way you can tell what the heat's going to do to it and how it's like cooking it, just like it would cook it in a mash. So you can kind of get an idea. Somebody presented me with the most gorgeous emerald green corn, Oaxacan green, and it's so elegant and so spectacular to look at. It's like, I have got to make whiskey out of this. And I can't. It's too herbaceous. It's like green grape stem kind of, so the green actually, you can actually like taste the green in it, so our heirloom cross is actually a cross between the Bloody Butcher, which is Bloody Butchers come on strong. There's been even in the culinary world, people use a lot of that red corn because it's so delicious. And then and then it's a cross between that and then Wapsie Valley, and Wapsie Valley is kind of a yellow corn, and then we get this cross. So that's mom and dad. The Bloody Butcher and the Wapsie Valley are mom and dad, and then our corn is Baby Jane. We've got it trademarked, and I saw the Baby Jane on your site today.
Here we go. So first of all, Allie, I'm going to add, a little shout out to someone I admire. A long time ago, Chip Tate, for using blue corn in balcones.
Yes, yes.
And congrats, and every, is beautiful. And I've got a little Wapsie Valley. So Lisa, I've got this Wapsie Valley
yes.
From it was from 2015. So
that's way ahead of me. Yes, I've changed the whole protocol, but it's still good.
It's beautiful. I've been so judicious with it,
over
time.
Drink it up, I'll get you another one. Yeah.
Listen, I love this show. I love being the host of this show, and having lovely guests like you that talk about this thing to us from the tobacco world, and everybody tuning in. Lisa's going so in depth into this beauty of heirloom, but this is something that we do. We just don't put a moniker on it. When we talk about like it's a Criollo 98, we're talking about an heirloom seed grown in a certain area. When we're talking about Connecticut Corojo, same thing. We're talking about heirloom seeds that we have developed, and the future for us is that as well. So I'm so like I'm super geeking out. I know Allie is, and I know Joey is, and I hope everybody else out there is, because this is so incredible.
It comes down to the quality of ingredients. That's always the thing. Doesn't matter if it's a premium cigar or a craft whiskey. You want always the best source material. And it's that discovery and that hunt for it at all costs to keep making the best stuff you can make.
Absolutely. Yeah. My mentor is a gentleman named Dave Sherrick. He's the guy that put Woodford Reserve back together. Old Seagram's guy, old Wild Turkey guy. And then he got hired by Brown-Forman to do that. And like he always says, he'll just shrug his shoulders if he tastes something he's not crazy about. He's like, good in, good out.
Yeah, it's true. It's true with a lot of products, especially something that does a lot of handmade process too. If you have garbage at the front end, it's going to be garbage at the back end. There's no question about it.
Yeah, people sometimes will make some trashy whiskey and think they're going to put it in a fabulous barrel and it's going to come out great. No. It comes out like trashy whiskey in a fabulous barrel. Yeah.
Listen, you just crushed my dreams. But listen, Lisa, I'm going to ask you a question. Sure. Tell me about that. Is it Rosendale mineral water that you're using at the distillery?
Yeah, our water is such a huge part of our story. And, when I took this job on and I was, getting explained what things had to stay and which things could go, on the part of the Widow Jane culture was the Rosendale water. And so Rosendale, New York is 100 miles north of us. It is used to be a cement mining, limestone mining area where they would use the hardening agent from this limestone for cement. So that cement holds together, the base of the Statue of Liberty, the Brooklyn Bridge, the Washington Monument, the White House, all kinds of places, right? Because it was really clean, white, hard cement. And that was around for years until porter cement was introduced in the market, and it was a fraction of the cost. And it's a lot more porous. It doesn't hold things together as long, but it was cheap. And so that's what, really put the Rosendale cement business out of business. So what happened is they used to mine that limestone out of there. Then they abandoned the mines, and all of this water filters through our mountain, right through the hillside, down through the limestone. And it's the best filtration that you can possibly get. That's the reason Kentucky, Maryland, Pennsylvania limestone. That's why they made such fabulous rye whiskey and bourbon and, any whiskey really through that whole area, Maryland, New York. So we've got this fabulous water. What we do differently though, because limestone water makes great mash. So if you're cooking all your grains together to make your beer, right, so that you have something to distill, the like calcium and magnesium are really awesome because they like help this fermentation stay really, really healthy. But what we do at Widow Jane, New York City water is actually, here I am, is fabulous. When I did the water analysis on it, I had the water engineers, I'm like, let's break all this down. And they're like, this is, they were all shrugging their shoulders because they live up the Hudson River Valley, and like, this is fabulous water, Lisa. I'm like, well, I want to get it tested. So we use domestic water, filtered domestic water for our mashing, but we proof down with the mineral water. And that is just really unheard of in the industry. Most people proof down with RO, which is reverse osmosis water, or they use distilled water, just like the distilled water you buy on the shelf at the grocery store. And there's nothing wrong with that, because you're not influencing the whiskey. If you've got a good whiskey, you can cut down with those. So the difference is we're using this mineral water. And when I had the recipe broken down for it, it's almost exactly the same as a very famous French mineral water in green bottles. And so it's like, okay, and that's what enhances these whiskeys. So when I'm first starting blending, I'm like, let me see the difference, because when you proof down with mineral water, you also have like, some stability issues and stuff, and we don't chill filter, so that was another puzzle I had to, figure out. But the mineral water. So I encourage people, we don't have a cask strength whiskey because it wouldn't be Widow Jane unless we put the Rosendale water in it. But I encourage people to get that French mineral water, let it go flat, and take somebody else's cask strength whiskey and cut it with that mineral water, and then cut it with some distilled water and see the difference. It'll make notes pop that you didn't even know were in those whiskeys. It's crazy. Yeah, it's like making a highball too. You're gonna make a highball with some, some mineral water, and it's going to be completely different than using any kind of other, filtered water or bottled water. But yeah, it's delicious.
Listen, you are just like pumping it up for Topo Chico right now. So for all you Topo Chico fans out there, I love it because I do love my my whiskey highballs with a little Topo Chico every now and then, and it's fantastic.
I'll have to try that. I love Topo Chico, but I've never thought to put it in my whiskey. I'll try it because I'm such a geek. I'll go look up the water recipe on it first. Yeah.
Yes, I know you would, but man, what an incredible education you're giving us just on that. And I think it comes through, when we're nosing it, when we're tasting it, there's differences. And I've got my man Joey's got a little bit with us, but you also did something else at Widow Jane, which you haven't mentioned because you're mentioning 5 million other things that I'm so interested in, but you also changed the cooperage.
I did. Yeah. Zach Cooperage, ZAK, Athertonville, Kentucky. They source wood from all over the United States. And I met them because I was building the first craft distillery in Nelson County, right? So just a couple miles from the Barton plant. And I get introduced to them because the cooperage had been started in an abandoned Seagram's plant from the 1980s when nobody was drinking any whiskey. And their grandfather, Bert Zeimlich, he was with the Brown-Forman cooperage. And he went off on his own and started this cooperage in this old Seagram's plant. And now the son and grandson are running it. And they had an exclusive contract with one of the big guys. And it was tens of thousands of barrels. And the big guy cut it overnight one night. and they didn't know what they were going to do. So they didn't know anything about the craft distilling world. So we got introduced. We went to lunch, and I talked to him about this whole new world of these tiny distilleries, and we've been friends ever since. And so my thank you gift is I get this really fabulous cooperage with, as a minimum of 2 years air seasoned wood rather than kiln dried, and it makes all the difference in the flavor. And then we have a one of a kind barrel finish. We have a heavy toast. I tell him toast the hell out of it till it's ready to ignite, and then char it to 3.5. So, and so that's what we're doing right now. And it's a lovely match for that heirloom corn. Yeah, it's delicious. It's so stinking good. And so I've done a 14.
Wait a second. Let's dial it back. You missed an opportunity there.
Yep.
You missed an opportunity, but we'll take it. It's so stinking good.
It's fucking good. I'm sorry.
It's fucking good. So yeah, there we go. It's out of the bag. Let's go. All right, Lisa, please continue.
Yeah, so these guys, they're over, I got lucky and bought a historic home on Main Street in Bardstown, and, it's got the proverbial whiskey drinking front porch on it, right? And so they stopped by and we're drinking to drop something off, and, we're drinking whiskey when I was back home and a couple of years ago, and they were like, okay, this is going well, and it's a great partnership, but they're talking about different stuff. I'm like, what other kind of wood do you have in the lot? And they're like, we've got this 8-year-old air seasoned wood on the back of the lot. I almost fell out of my chair. Like, can we raise some barrels with that? And they're like, sure, we'll try it. And they call me because they know I like 53-gallon barrels, and they like, Lisa, it's so brittle, we can only raise 30-gallon barrels with it. I'm like, let's just do it. Let's do it. So I re-barreled the 14-year-old blend I did last year, the vaults. I did it, and that 8-year-old air seasoned wood, which is just unheard of in this industry, right? And then this last year I did the 15, 16, 17-year-old blend that I did. I'm like, because I call them like, okay, what else you got, right? And so they send me all this different wood. So I picked an Appalachian oak, Eastern Tennessee and Eastern Kentucky. And it's been air seasoned for 5 years. And, I did a bunch of side-by-side trials with it, and it was the standout by far with that old whiskey. So yeah, I've got a good relationship with my Coopers. Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
That's awesome. Listen, I'm going to ask you first before anyone else. Do you need an assistant? I'm just saying, even if it's just to sit at your porch, I've got it first, girls. I've got it first. I can sit at your porch and sip whiskey. I'm good. Anytime.
I'm next in line.
All right, I'll send you my resume.
I got a couple people around Bardstown too that found out if you were in town, yeah, they'd be joining us.
I'll bring cigars. How about that? I'm the only resume that'll bring cigars, other than these ladies. And you might need 2 assistants or maybe 3 or 4. So we're all good. We're all good with that.
I think my son-in-law thinks I actually made it. It's like, hey, I told him who I was, a week or so ago, I told him, that I was doing a podcast with you guys, and he's like, I could see it in his face of course over Zoom, but I'm thinking, oh gosh, he finally thinks I've made it because I'm going to be on this podcast with these guys.
You have made it.
Yeah.
This is the Drew Estate, and I'm going to say, like everybody out there, ask Frankie Drinks or ask Lisa Drinks, because listen, she's the expert right now. Ask Lisa Drinks; she knows what it's all about. Or ask any of the ladies, to get your beautiful opportunity to win the beautiful swag plus one of these. But Lisa, I'm going to ask you a question. What does it mean to be a master distiller?
Oh, wow. That's like that. I don't know. Do you have any, what in your industry? I'm trying to think, what would be an equivalent? Because there are people that will start distilleries and not know what they're doing, but they'll title themselves master distiller. And nothing wrong with that, because it's just a lack of understanding the culture of the industry, right? But so it's up for debate all the time. It's up for debate all the time. I have chosen not to take the title currently because it's been offered to me, because when people like my mentor are still out and working, and there is no way that I am the same league as he is. He's 75 years old. he still picks and chooses his projects. Fortunately for me, he's also, on our payroll as a consultant when I need him. And he's a master distiller, right? He always tells me, it's like, you're not a master distiller till you can handle the oh shits. And so he told me one
All
day.
right. So I'm going to interrupt you. And the quote is exactly like this. This is from Dave Shurick. The definition of a master distiller is someone that knows what to do with it. There is an oh shit. They know what to do, or they know who to call. So how does that wrap up?
Yeah, he's been
Lisa?
very kind to me. Yeah. He calls me master distiller. Yeah, he
Of course
does.
he does. He
Yeah.
knows one when he sees one, and he would know.
Yeah, but when people like Jimmy Russell are still alive and stuff, I almost feel I'm really not, there's not like any false modesty or humility in this. It really is just like, I'm in awe of those guys, and they've put in the years and they've put in the hours, and they were famous when nobody was famous in the whiskey industry, and their fame came from just their dedication and their hard work. And it's really more out of respect for them than it is,
It sounds like there's room for you, though.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have the dedication and you have those, you know what to do when an oh shit happens. I'm just saying, just meeting you for the last 45 minutes, I'm just saying, it sounds like you got it.
Well, but here's the deal is like, if you create your own oh shits, I don't know how that
We do that really good here.
Dave Shurick said nothing about if you create your own oh shits. It's all about your response to them.
When it's midnight and the rye mash is running over the top of a 14-foot fermenter, and you're like, oh great, well the next 3 hours of my life are right in front of me here with the squeegee and the hose, right? Yeah.
Well, I love that. Lisa, you're an amazing font of knowledge. I want to kind of bring you back in. Thank you for sharing, first of all, this beautiful world of your experience. I would ask for a date, but I know you're committed. But listen, next time I make it up to Kentucky, could you at least, greet me at your porch and pour me some whiskey?
Absolutely.
If any of you other ladies want to join me and Joey too, so we'll be chaperoned.
This is not a fake invitation. When we get past this, whatever this is that we're living in right now, we're gonna do this. If we can't do it there, we'll do it on the rooftop here in Brooklyn, right? We'll do
That's
it
why I want to go back home.
Listen,
man.
That's what we're talking about, because our home, Joey, tell us about the birth of Drew Estate. Where is our home?
Brooklyn, man. It's J Street, right by the Manhattan Bridge, Dumbo. That's where it began for us. It was the company that shouldn't have been in it, in a place it shouldn't have been. How dare we do that? And it's Brooklyn, but Brooklyn enables you to dare you to do that, and you do it. And I think that's part and part to Widow Jane, being a distillery in Brooklyn. That's cool.
In Red Hook.
You wear that like a badge of honor. That's a serious cred right there. You put Brooklyn, that's it. And Red Hook, man, back in the day when I was growing up, Red Hook was not a place that you would want to find yourself at all. That was a rough edge of town. You want to talk about like where you were like, oh, that's where all the bad stuff goes down. It was in Red Hook, and now it's totally changed. I mean, it's
I can still feel it some nights late. I can still feel the energy. Yeah,
there's definitely the energy. It was seriously dangerous place.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s and stuff like that.
Yeah,
which is why Joey fits right in.
Yeah. That's why I was in Red Hook.
Yeah, a couple of the women that work at Widow Jane, they said when they first took their jobs, their moms grew up in Brooklyn, and their moms are like, and they were grown women, and their moms are like, you can't work in Red Hook.
Yeah, no, there's a stigma. Red Hook was a rough part of town. It always has been for a long time. So it had that stigma to it, like, whoa, Red Hook. You're like, why are you going there? You're disposing bodies or, chopping up cars or something. That was about it.
I have to take up the place where we're going to build a new distillery. I have to take the floor up, and there have been so many jokes.
Yeah, what are you going to find?
Yeah.
Listen, for all you DC fans that follow the Joker, understand that Red Hook gang has a lot of meaning. It's tied to Gotham, you know, the greatest neighborhood, the greatest city in the world. And I'm so excited about this. So I'm gonna ask my man Jack, who he's been relaxing because Lisa, you've been so entertaining.
I'm sorry.
He doesn't even need to be working tonight, but Jack, I'm going to ask you to throw up that slide about Widow Jane, please. And this is our 10-year-old, and we're talking about it's a blend of Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana whiskeys, correct? And we're talking about it's 91 proof, and listen, on the aroma, it's beautiful vanilla. It's the baking spices, nutmeg, cinnamon,
It's like a
a little
nougat.
bit of allspice. Joey, what you got?
Yeah, it's like a nougat, like one of those bars you would crack open and it's got that. I don't even know what nougat is, but it's a thing. And that's what it reminds me of. It's a combination of pretty much all those flavors. Is that caramelization, is that vanilla, but then in the mouthfeel is great. I think that the part of the mineral water part, I love minerality in a lot of different spirits. I find that really appealing. But there's also like a viscosity to it that is really, really cool. It's very different than other bourbons and whiskeys I've tried. It's unique. It stands apart from other ones, which is really cool. And that's what you really want to do when you're making your own spirit, is have something that stands apart. There's plenty of other bourbons and whiskeys out there, and this stands apart on its own, which is really cool.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So truly amazing. I mean, I think on the palate, you get a lot of fruit, get that beautiful maple note that's on there. There's that little bit of astringency for my palate that you pick up, and I wonder if that's from the mineral water
Yeah.
that makes it a little bit different, and our palates are so different. So, but I drink a lot of whiskey, and that's just my thing,
No,
and
really?
at least on Wednesday nights. So, and it's just a beautiful way of experiencing urban whiskey. And Lisa, what an amazing job you've done with Widow Jane.
Thank you. Yeah. I've got a great team. It's definitely not a one-woman show for sure. We're a very small team, but we're a real mighty team. Jillian's our director of operations. Michelle's our vice president and art director, and Duncan, my barrel manager, his resume fell on my desk, and he had been Michigan boy through Chicago, fell in love with whiskey, working in a liquor store in college, goes to Woodford Reserve, works the night shift, setting fermentations and overseeing some distillations, and then he goes to Antarctica for 3 tours, and ends up in Brooklyn, and his resume falls on my desk, and so he's my best possible frontline. He's got an amazing palate, and yeah, Diana, the office manager, my bottling team, I would put them up against any bottling team, because you can make or break your product, a wine or a whiskey or whatever you're working on the bottling line, right? And they get everything polished into the line. I don't even have to worry about it. I try not to take them for granted, but I have, Carlos and Kevin and Raphael, and and Jonathan, they're just the best. I mean, they're, like I said, I'd put them up against anybody, so there's, like I said, it can't be a one-woman show.
That speaks to the level of detail too, because I mean, the bottling part is something you can imagine even for the novice guy out on the street would overlook that. Oh, it's just bottling. What is there to that? But that you take the detail on that and say, no, if it's not right, it can really throw everything that we just did for all these years completely off.
Yeah. Oh yeah. People, the winery owners in Kentucky, she said to me one time, she's like, "You're always laid back, but your personality changes on bottling day." I'm like, "Yeah, you better bet it does."
Yeah, it's like when we're packing cigars into a box. There's great care in that, and there's a lot of detail involved. It doesn't get pronounced, when people are talking about cigars, but there's a lot to that. There's a lot to, hey, is it too humid out in the factory when we're packing? And that affects things. And sometimes we hold it off because of that. And then, Yeah, you piss somebody off down the line because they got to wait for something. But hey, at the end of the day, you're looking to put the absolute best thing you can in that bottle or in that box of cigars. So that's really cool to hear that level of detail as something that I would have overlooked and not even have thought two moments about. But that's so cool.
Yeah, it's like packing your cigars. If you do it right, nobody notices,
Mhm.
right? If you do it wrong, everybody notices. If you do it,
Yeah.
right, no one notices. Yeah.
Even when they drop,
Trust me.
they
Yeah,
drop
trust
them.
me.
They blame it on us too. They dropped their cigar and it cracked open, and it's like, oh, it's our fault. We're sorry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Lisa, I want to thank you so much for sharing just, I know it's a tiny bit of your knowledge, but for everybody out there that's listening, the beauty of Widow Jane, and notice the amount of care and work that goes into producing a beautiful product, just like our cigars, for everyone to enjoy. So I hope everyone goes out there and gets this bottle. Don't buy the Wapsi Volley because because she's gonna send me one. But if you do find one, it's pretty dope. Even the 2015. So I'm waiting for like the Lisa Wicker version.
We'll send you
Because
one.
it was beautiful back then. And as you know, I've only taken a couple of sips. Look at how filled this bottle is, right? Because I was gifted it by someone very special. So, Lisa, thank you so much for being part of Six and
Thank you for the
Sips.
invitation. Yeah, this is great.
So don't go anywhere because now my next guest or guests are the Ladies of the Liga. So this is the moment we have all been waiting for. Yeah, Joey's got his heart there going. Ladies, I'm gonna say welcome back to Sticks and Sips. And listen, last time we were all together, we had such a deep conversation about women in the industry, right? And now we have such a beautiful example of someone like Lisa Wicker, who's so impactful in the industry. And I'm going to ask you guys, as kind of a round table, is where do you see the future of women in our industry? And I'll start with Izzy.
I think we're present and accounted for both within cigars, both within the liquor industry. My first love is bourbon. I'm certified in bourbon. That's where my passion fell. So I went and got that certificate because that was important. And if I didn't
Stave
have
and Thief, baby. Stave and Thief. I know you, girl.
Yes, I got my certification. That's how I came to be with Drew Estate. So we're here. We have women winemakers and yourself as distillers, women that own lounges. We're here. We're not going anywhere. If anything, it's just going to be more. That's what's going to happen. We've always been here in both industries. We were just kind of seen behind the scenes. In the tobacco, we were the ones rolling and doing and everything. We didn't really see it as much. And with Drew Estate, I mean, we got this beautiful stage right here tonight, but it's so many women behind the scenes that's not on this stage right now. Same thing with the liquor world. We've always been here. So it's just now it's not taboo to see a woman smoking a cigar or making whiskey or she's a winemaker. That's the difference.
Absolutely. Allie, you're up. What do you think?
Well, and you're right, Izzy. It's not taboo anymore. I mean, I was saying, I think to Joey the other day, in my mother's country, if you're smoking a cigar as a female, you're probably still a prostitute. Like, there's still places in the world that it's going to be taboo. If you're drinking whiskey, it's taboo. And I'm glad that the United States has finally come away from that again. That we're looked at as not part of the experience, but we experience these things. That's really important to me. And I think as long as we keep having these conversations and we keep getting hired into these positions, that we can represent the women that aren't seen, and there will be more of us, and it won't even be a conversation in the future. That's my hope, is that we'll just be cigar smokers and not lady cigar smokers.
Love it.
That's it.
Robin.
the episode then.
Love it, Robin. What do you think? You have definite opinions on this. Yes.
Yes, I definitely do. I believe, like Izzy said, we've definitely named our place here. And it starts from the rollers at the factory. After going to Safari and seeing how many women were in the factory, just blew my mind. And then it was ice cream day, so that was really funny. So everybody like scurried to get their ice cream, but stereotypical woman love for ice cream. But absolutely, I mean, ever since our last show, I've noticed, um, by mingling in the community with the awareness of women in the cigar industry, it's definitely not as taboo. I mean, I'm probably still going to get the weird looks, but when I go into my local lounge or I go into any lounge, I'm not getting the stereotypical look anymore. So I'm definitely, obviously I don't go into lounges right now, but it's definitely changed.
Thank you, Robin, on that. Kara, listen, Kara, you're the old pro. I defer to you because you're the badass of this group.
I don't know.
Um,
I'm not a badass ladies in this group. I wouldn't necessarily coin me as the badass. I'm one of the badass.
Listen, if I were to bet who's most likely to get arrested, it'd be like
Oh,
Jenny Lynn's probably one and you're two.
Jenny Lynn get out of it. I'm getting arrested for sure.
No, Jenny Lynn was a bartender. She'll figure her way out. Anyway, so Kara, listen, we've talked about this before. What are your thoughts on it? Where are we headed? Where is the future? Is the future female in the cigar industry?
Yeah, I mean, just like Robin, mentioned, many people don't know this, but in factories, in our factory, there's a team. There's a buncher and a roller, and it's a male and a female. And that's just how it is. That's the way it is. So for Drew Estate, a woman basically runs our warehouse. In Nicaragua, there's a team of people, but one of those teams of people is a female. So they're there, we're there, I should say, not there, but they're in the background. For me, I started in the tobacco industry 2008, I believe. I know Jenny Lynn has been in the tobacco industry way longer than I have, and Michelle as well. So, and I don't know about any of the other ladies in their history, so to speak, outside of Drew Estate, but yeah, it's been, I mean, it's always an interesting experience, because as much as we are here, and when I was working in the cigar lounge, there was no women really in the industry. There was one lady who works with Drew Estate now, who was on our side of the realm, and she kind of just like guided me along about being a lady in the industry of a man's industry, so to speak. And it's always interesting. It's always sexualized, of course, if you allow it to be that. But for me, it's all about education. And as long as these women are coming, to the forefront about education, about the knowledge of the soil and the sun and the different regions and the different tobaccos and the seeds and all that, it gets overwhelming. And there was times like being a female in the industry, and frankly, I've shared this a million times, I always felt that I needed to know everything there was possible about everything possible. And you're in a humidor with a guy who, at the time, I was in my late 20s, early 30s when I started. They look at me, they're like, you're a little white girl. Like, what do you know about anything? I'm a lawyer, this, that, and the other. Like, I got this. And they were always uneducated, and I always educated them. So, and it was always eye-opening for them and for me. So, here we are, 2021. That was 2008. So many women are in the industry now. So many women are being a part of the experience, the community. It's a beautiful thing. Regardless of what it all is, you're still going to walk into your local cigar shop, and you're still going to get that creepy old guy saying, hey, put this in your mouth and let me take a picture. It just is what it is. It is what it is. There's different generations of cigar smokers. So that's what it is. And we are here, the new generation, moving along.
There you go.
Creating waves is what we're doing. So yeah.
All right. Should I mansplain what you said, or are we good?
What?
Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Ali. I knew you would get a kick out of that one. Anyway, so Jenny Lynn, listen, I've been waiting
Go.
all episode for this. This is your moment, girl. But you do have you've said a lot of really deep things before, and let's go back to that. No, and it's important. It's important to be said. All joking aside, Jenny Lynn, you've been one of our most outspoken voices, you know, and sometimes I feel like weird saying that because it's like it's not about outspoken, right? It's about speaking truths, right? About who you are and who you represent, and you represent us as a company. More importantly, you represent the strength of ladies in this industry.
So on that note, he had to intro that, Miss Lisa, because I say the F word like you would say like. My like is fuck. So
Noun, verb, and adjective. Yeah.
anything, it's yes, yeah, 100%. But no, it's exactly what all the ladies have said. It's education. Females aren't, you know, the side piece anymore. They're the main piece. And women have been running shit for ever, and now we're just being allowed to be shown that we are actually running it. We're not behind the scenes anymore. We're in your face. You're always going to get, like Kara said, that creepy old guy in a store that's going to be like shoving the cigar in your mouth, which I think is hilarious because it's so fucking true.
Most of the time, it's the shop fucking owners.
They're like, take a picture of yourself so that they know that you're here. I'm like, take a picture of your fucking self, brah. But anyway, sorry. So one, I want to thank you, Lisa. Excellent. You know your shit. I value that so much, and especially of women, because we actually have to, I think, prove ourselves more so in the knowledge, because people don't take us seriously in our industries, especially if they're male dominated, like ours and yours. And listening to you talk was freaking awesome, and I super appreciate it. I have Widow Jane. I've had it for a long time. I was a bartender for a long time. I've been in the industry for a long time. I've carried a lot of your stuff. I did not know about the tequila. I'm gonna pick that shit up. And I'm trying to zoom here sober, because the last time it got a little cray.
By the way,
I'm
Lisa,
not drinking your shit tonight, but I'll drink it when I'm off.
This is sober. By the way, so this is sober. I'm just saying, and we're super excited. Thank you, Jenny. But please continue, because you were in the middle of a thought there.
It's, you know, I'm glad for this platform that, again, once we can say hello, we're not just a pretty face. We know our shit, and you know, there's more coming at you. Like, there are so many women in so many different industries now, not just ours, but in the corporate setting. I mean, no, women's aren't, you know, we're not wearing skirts and our tits are hanging out all over the place. It's not like that anymore. We're coming at you with our knowledge, with our brains. And yes, we may be cute, but that's just an extra bonus. So it's all about what you know.
I love that, Jenny Lynn.
I'm being good.
You are being extra good. Thank you, Jenny. Michelle, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great.
Listen, Michelle, you know, I saved the best for last. Because
Well, I think Jenny just took all the words out of my mouth.
She tends to do that, you know. But the beauty of having and I'll phrase it for you like this: the beauty of us breaking down more barriers. But where do we go from here? And I'll leave you the tough question, because I think that you above everybody could give us some insight. Where do we go from here?
Up. You know, I've been in the business for 15 years. And when I first started, I can count the women on one hand of who I would see. And in the beginning, it was very challenging because as a woman, people would ask you questions just to see what you knew about cigars, or just, you were always being tested. I always felt every day was a test for me. And I would kind of watch them speak to other, male reps. And it's like, I didn't see them doing that with them. So there was one thing I learned. It was just like, educate yourself, educate yourself. And you know what? I'm still learning. 15 years later, I still learn things. And, in this industry, there's just so much to learn. And, going to the factories or doing our, Zoom events with like a Willie or JD, Pedro, I'm always picking up little inside information. So you're always learning. But I think, as a woman, you're definitely challenged. But I think being in the business for 15 years and dealing with it, I'm just kind of used to it. I don't, I just brush things off and move forward. But I will say I love seeing the women in the industry. And it's before, people would ask me, what do I do for a living? And I would say what I do. And they're like, what did you say? Like, you totally catch people off guard. And then they want you to explain what you do. And then it's kind of the end of the conversation because they don't know what else to ask you. So, but now, you're seeing more women coming into the cigar bars, coming to our events. And it's great to see that female and have that conversation, who she wants to learn more about it, but was always intimidated to come into the bar or to the store. And now I'm finding even men they're more welcoming to the women coming in and joining them, which is great to see.
Well, and that's I just wanted to kind of put a little point on that, a little finer point, is that we have advocates, where there were guys before that absolutely this is their space and they didn't want women in it. But we have so many more advocates these days. We have those shop owners that aren't putting a cigar in your mouth and saying, let me take a picture. I have an account that was like, oh, you're Drew Estate rep. She's super hot. Is she single? And my account was like, do not talk about her that way. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know what? You're my best friend now. Thank you for being an advocate, because I'm a person. No, I'm not just an object. So I think as we continue forward, I think you're right. We can only go up from here as we get more and more advocates, as we have more and more people that are on our side and just want us to kind of create that community, right? That's
exactly. And you're right with that, because the longer I've been in the industry, I mean, you have a relationship with each of your retailers, and a lot of them will become very protective of you. So when that customer is talking that smack about you or wanting this or that, they jump in, they become protective, and they'll shut them down really quick. So it's kind of nice having that there. It's like a little security blanket if somebody's getting a little too mouthy or a little too frisky or just making you uncomfortable.
That is my favorite with my retailers. They're like, go ahead, she'll eat you alive.
Right. We can totally defend ourselves.
And Come on, baby.
And they know we can, but it's their honor to defend us as well. And having those advocates and creating those communities, if you have those accounts, that's where the women want to smoke, because they're not just going to walk in and be eyeballed the whole time. They're going to ask her what she's smoking. What does she like about it? I haven't tried it. It becomes a conversation and not a challenge anymore. I'm tired of the challenge, but you're right, Michelle. We kind of get used to it because that's still part of this. You just kind of shrug your shoulders and you say, oh, do women smoke cigars? Women roll your cigars, dude. Of course they do.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the women, you wouldn't be smoking one right now, probably.
Right.
That is true.
Absolutely. Listen, and I think that we need more advocates out there and both in the cigar world and in the whiskey world. Um, Lisa knows this. The biggest growth in the whiskey market is towards females, and the future growth for cigars is females. It just the environment needs to be there, much like when we ferment, right? The environment needs to be favorable for this to happen because we all benefit from it, and that's what I'm going to say is we all benefit from it. So a little cheers to our tobacco world and to our whiskey world to being more inclusive. And I'm going to take a little sip of this beautiful Widow Jane, and I'm going to go to my man who just emptied his pour. Haha. And my man, Joey Drew, for 40 something freaking weeks, he's had his Mezcal minute, and here it comes.
Here it is. Well, we had some leftovers from last week, and I posted some on my Instagram last night. So Vago, Mezcal Vago, the vagabonds, the crazies, and make great shit. And we drink a shit ton of it. And it's just good. I mean, for me, Mezcal and cigars, they're like my perfect pairing. Anybody that follows me knows that. I love my bourbon and whiskey as well, but Mezcal's what I go to, man. I think it's just, I used to be a tequila drinker back in the day, and Mezcal is just a whole different universe, a world of flavors that match so well with cigars. And pairing it with an H99. I think are these out available in events now, right? Yeah, they are. Hell yeah,
yeah, sure. But more importantly, that one question.
Oh yeah, we got something to give away.
We'll get this beautiful H99 bag. So I'm super excited about that, Joey. And Lisa, do you want to come to Oaxaca with us? When you get your vaccine.
Everybody wants to come to Oaxaca. Come on.
There you go. I mean, we're gonna go visit. Vago and maybe some other things that that are lingering around. How about that?
Yes, I'm in.
All right, you're in. Just save me 2 spots on your porch. That's all I want. And with that, so you guys that's my catchphrase. And with that, you get your Sticks and Sips cutter, and we got our first question of the night. Ruben Gonzalez, it's hashtag Ask Lisa Drinks. So, what's the most satisfying moment in your whiskey journey, Lisa?
Oh gosh.
Besides being on Sticks and Sips, you could leave that one out. The next one.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit cheesy, but being able to share what I do with my grown children. My first son-in-law, he is now the chef in residence for Maker's Mark, and my daughter is entrenched in the whiskey world. They came from Chicago and moved to Kentucky, and it's a whole long story. Then my son works on, I'm sorry, I tried, but he works on Capitol Hill in DC, but he just judged his third World Whiskey Awards. And then my youngest, she and her husband are, they're all about the whiskey, right? So it's nice to be able to sit around a fire pit, and that's where I do smoke cigars. I don't know cigars like I should, but I know that my son-in-law is going to hand something to me and go, "You're going to love this with this whiskey," right? And that's why I feel like he thinks I made it when I was going to be on this show with you guys tonight. But yeah, if there's a place for it, is the fact that I can, like I said, share with my grown kids.
That's phenomenal.
Well,
That's phenomenal. You must have your kids when you were 13. So
you speak to something really interesting, and everybody has touched on it, is the education piece and the knowledge about cigars and maybe flavors and stuff that you pick up and notes that you detect. But really, it's more about like the enjoyment of smoking a cigar in its essence by itself. Just that enjoyment part of it gets lost in the overanalyzation that everybody tries to do these days. And it's just like, well, sometimes you just like to enjoy something.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And for cigar smokers, get lost in the smoke drifting off the end of your cigar, and relax. And it's that, and everybody can enjoy that, male or female. It doesn't matter. It's an enjoyment, pure and simple. And sometimes that analyzation gets lost, and everybody's trying to dissect everything to its nth degree. So, my 2 cents from the wizard.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Wizard. Listen, we skipped the slide, Jack here, and it was about the beauty of the Sweet Jane. So sorry, Ruben, congratulations on a great question. And so we had a great slide, which was about Sweet Jane and all the beautiful flavors that we get out of a deadwood. So you get this beautiful wrapper that it's a completely different experience from what we call our non-traditional line, and I think it makes a great pairing with Widow Jane. So I'm going to my next
total compliment to each other. There's this aroma that comes from a Sweet Jane and really any of the Deadwood line that really match
Yes.
well. A little bit of the sweetness, just dynamite
Right.
stuff.
Remember part of that little bit of that beautiful like dryness we get from it, and then we kind of offset it with that beautiful sweet cap on the Sweet Jane. So next question, Charles Ruth. I'm all about the tobacco and deadwood sticks, but I want to add some more traditional sticks to my rotation. What sticks can start with that I can start with that won't be too strong, but have lots of flavor? Oh man, that's a big question, Charles. And I'm gonna say, um, you know, I'm gonna reserve mine and give this one to Allie, because she looks all nervous.
Sorry. Was that what my eyes were doing? I'm sorry.
Yes. So I picked on you. You look the most nervous. So, like, what does somebody want to start with that's full of flavor?
Okay, maybe not nervous, but my first cigar with Drew Estate was the Tobacco Especial Negra, and then I went natural with I loved the Dirt Torpedoes. I loved a lot of those cigars, and when I wanted to go traditional, I actually went Hoya. The Hoya Red had just come out, which is a straight medium. It's not super duper complex. So kind of like what we were talking about when you don't want to overanalyze a cigar, it's a tasty cigar from start to finish with a gorgeous ash. So if you're learning how to long ash, that's a great cigar to do it with. So I go Hoya if you want to go traditional and flavorful and not too complex. So not to shock your system, even though you've already shocked it with our exotic tobaccos. The Antonio CT. It may be a Connecticut wrapper, but it's not a mild cigar. It's medium bodied. If you're already smoking our cigars, you're not smoking mild. So you can handle a lot of what we do, including the Nica Rustica. Don't be afraid of a Maduro wrapper. Maduro just means ripe. It means aged. It doesn't mean strong. So if you want something tasty, if you want something that's Maduro, I'd say go Nica Rustica. So that's my progression for just those three right there. And then we can go from there. Message me on Instagram. I'll take care of you.
Yeah, she definitely will. And I think all good tobacconists will take you on that journey. They will ask you what you like and what that experience is like, because that's what we want to guide you to. We want to take you on that specific journey. So thank you on that question. I got Corey Alvord. Ask Lisa Drinks. You mentioned early on that there's no heater in the distillery. How does that affect your distillation process?
Actually, for distillation, it's awesome, right? Because you're trying to condense the whiskey. So it's like, you don't have any evaporation, right? Because it's cold. You have more trouble when it's hot out because all your whiskey is going to evaporate when it comes off the still. Yeah, it's actually easier to keep things regulated. It's not intentional. Like in all of our office spaces, we thought we were not going to be in this building anymore because we were building the new distillery. So, but everywhere I've ever worked, we've not really, like in the production area, we've never really had, it just doesn't make any sense from an energy standpoint and, sustainability to try to heat and cool a plant. So, yeah, Doesn't hurt anything being cold. Hurts a little bit being hot, but nothing being cold. Not gonna
All
lose a
right.
single drop. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I always think about like, how do we, how do we introduce some electrified product into into a rick house that has all this ignitable atmosphere around it? So I always thought about that, and I never came up with an answer, and that's why I don't do what you do, Lisa.
$4,000
But
light fixtures instead of $400 light fixtures. $4,000 light fixtures.
there you go. There you go. That's the major difference. I got a question. Ask Frankie Drinks from Candace Baker. Congratulations, Candace. What is a non-cigar or alcohol-related hobby you have?
Oh, me?
Let me think about that one.
Well, I didn't mean anybody. What's your hobby?
All right, next
Come on,
question.
answer up.
So,
What's his hobby outside of drinking?
Yeah, what else do you do?
outside of drinking or cigars,
Yeah, what are you passionate about? What are you
Oh,
doing?
I think my
Carol,
kids.
go, Carol. Let's hear
So,
it.
my kids. But other than my kids, maybe my wife. But I think she's the cause of my kids. So I don't know. They're kind of like right there. Other than that, it's back to cigars and alcohol. But wait a second. I have picked up something new,
No, you haven't.
something brand new that I'm really obsessed about, and that's H99s. So for all you guys that know,
Cigars.
H99s. So is this our winner? All right. So finally, our last question for the evening. This is to the ladies of the Liga, and this is for the big win of the H99 bag. By the way, Lisa, would you like one of these?
Baller.
Can I put my fishing stuff in it? Sure.
Absolutely. Jack, can we get one to Lisa? Lisa, you got one coming. We can fit like at least 2 bait boxes in here. You're good.
Box, a box of cigars, a bottle. You're good.
Yeah, one bottle.
Maybe,
Where you living, bro?
If it's a long
All right, dude. So Asada Ulugbala, congratulations. You got the H99. You've got the swag pack. You've got the whole deal. Yo, Jack.
What's the
Ladies, what is your favorite DE event? And I guess that they're asking, like, what's your favorite thing you're looking forward to? So I'm going to start with Izzy. Thank you, Ali. I appreciate the help. Izzy, what's your favorite DE event? Is it Safari? Is it Barn Smoker? Lisa, you gotta hear about Barn Smoker. All right, we'll get you in here.
They're both so different. They're both my favorites. Even just a regular Drew Estate event is, but each one, like, of course, Safari, because I'm in Nicaragua. It's one of the most beautiful countries. It's the most amazing experience you will ever have. And then if you do Barn Smokers, I encourage everybody to go to as many as you can, because each one will give you a different experience. That's just and then just a Drew Estate event, you got all these personalities of this great company. So I can't decide. I'm sorry. I can't.
Oh, sorry. I thought I was.
Kara, go ahead.
Okay, I agree with everything that Izzy just said. It's like there's a lot that goes into that question. For me, one of my most favorite experiences is when we have our cigar safaris open and we are touring our factories, and we usually go to Hoya's factories first, and then we come over to our factories the next day and do the whole thing. When I am introducing our rolling floor to the people that I have with me, the 15 people that I have with me, I always turn to them and tell you, get ready. This is my favorite part because you hear the noise, you hear the clatter, you hear the music, and you walk into our cigar rolling floor, and it is really a thing of freaking fucking beauty. There's so many people, about 1,000 people in there, rolling, having fun, singing, smoking their cigars. It is literally one of my. It is the ultimately the favorite thing that I probably do with Drew Estate when I am experiencing something with a group of people and giving them an experience. It's there's nothing like it. I absolutely love it. But to back up what Izzy said, our barn smokers, they're so educational. I've only been to one, the Kentucky, and just to learn about how we fire cure our tobacco, that in itself was, that was it for me. So I can only imagine what our other barn smokers do for everybody. But yeah, of course, our in-store events, come on. You got me, you got Izzy, you got JL, you got Robin, you got Allie, come on. You got Michelle. What else do you want? You got Frankie sometimes if you're lucky, Joey, he stays, over there smoking all the H99s, But I mean, there's really so many experiences with Drew Estate. And that's what it is. It's experiences, it's connecting, it's meeting people and building on that foundation of, hey, you like tobacco, I like tobacco. Let's do this kind of a thing. So yeah, there's so much. There really is. So that was a great question.
You like tobacco, I like tobacco, and we all like booze.
Yeah, let's do it.
So
yeah.
Invitation accepted.
There we go. So Robin, what's your favorite part?
I was really looking forward to this question, and then everybody hit it already. So, but I can elaborate too. I went to my first safari this past year in 2020, right before the shutdown, and I was the baby, the one that, like, even as a DE employee, had never seen it. And so for the future, looking forward, I am so excited to go on another safari and see somebody else's face light up like mine did, because it's amazing. It's like a whole nother world of cigars. Like after 3 or 4 years and smoking cigars and experiencing the lounges and events and store events, getting to the factory was definitely like, it hit the nail on the head. And the same thing with the VSSEs. We now have an opportunity to meet virtually every ambassador that we have. You have from Jonathan Drew and getting the entry of like the whole Drew Estate and everything that had happened, and Willie Herrera and the story behind Herrera Esteli, and Pedro, native to Nicaragua, and to get the history behind that, and Frankie, the whole pairing idea. Like I use this, my biggest leverage now is like, you just smoking a cigar, what are you pairing it with? Like get into it, and it's amazing. I'm blown away. So all of them. I haven't been to a barn smoker yet, so I'll see you there.
All right. Listen, Michelle's like almost faded out completely, but Michelle, I think you've been on most of these things. Michelle, what's your favorite thing?
I would probably have to say the cigar safari, because especially when you're there with the retailers and just to watch them. I mean, it's like taking a 3-year-old into 7-Eleven and letting them pick out a candy bar. I mean, they are just like so excited, so in awe with everything. They're just asking questions, wanting to learn. And then, and just, you can hear about it, but until you see it and it's hands-on, you walk away with such an appreciation for cigars that you never had before. And when you see everything that goes into that one cigar that you're putting into your mouth is just amazing. And it's, now they understand why, it takes time, why there's a back order, or why they don't have it on their shelf. But when they see what's happening at the factory, they get it afterwards. So I tell everybody, I tell all, my consumers I work with at the events and all, I'm like, you have to put the safari on a bucket list. I haven't been to a barn smoker. I hope to go to one soon. So that's something I'm looking forward to, but just the education of seeing the whole process is just amazing.
That's awesome. Jenny Lynn, Lisa, for you, Jenny Lynn, could you explain the cigar safari experience for our guest, Lisa?
Yes, please.
I'll try to refrain from my favorite words.
Okay, go for it.
Cigar safari, for someone who has not come, I was before Drew Estate, I went, and like they said, the first time you go, you're blown away. I mean, not just with our factories and the processes that we use to do and roll, and the just viewing it all, but you fly into Managua, and you fly into a country that these people are hardworking, they're phenomenal, they are so proud of their country. They take you on. They're not like up your ass trying to like screw you out of money. They're just like, oh, here's another tour going up to Esteli, you know? And then when you go into the town of Esteli and you see the people and the vibe is just, it's astronomical. It's something that I can't explain. It's fucking phenomenal. And then you get to the factory. I mean, not just the education that you get to try all the cigars, you get to actually meet different people from different parts of the country, but you also get to taste local fare. We have one of the best chefs in Safari. He's been doing our food for years. He is the bomb. If you go hungry and you leave like 20 pounds heavier, it's absolutely delicious. But I mean, just the whole experience is phenomenal. Sorry, somebody said something. Oh, anyway, but it's a really, really awesome experience. And somebody asked on Facebook, you need a passport. You need a passport to go to Canada. I do believe you need a passport to get out of the country in any regard.
Helps you get back.
All right. Yes, Jenny Lynn.
Exactly.
So part of the experience also is realizing how many hands go into the production of a cigar that you have, and that goes from the farm to how we dry the tobacco, to how we age the tobacco, how we reconstitute tobacco, how everything that goes into the entire process, all the way till it gets into the cellophane and into the box. And the number of hands that touch it really affect the experience. So I would say that was such an amazing question for everyone. Lisa, when things get better, I invite you to come to our factory.
Lisa, you got to come on my tour. Just saying.
Absolutely.
It's a good time.
I ixnay that offer right now.
No, we should just have like a Ladies of the Liga.
Oh my God, that would be so awesome.
Yes, Kara, completely agree.
You hearing me?
Yep.
Yes.
Kara, you're in charge. Jenny Lynn's not in charge.
We'd be having a great time, okay?
Yes, you are having an amazing time. Listen, I'll any of you ladies, listen, what an amazing experience that would be to get the ladies in the world of distilling, and Lisa, some of my personal heroes have been people like Joyce Spence at Appleton.
Yes.
That have really proved their role in the world of rum. Lorena Garcia at Zacapa as well, that I think have earned their place, and I put you with them because I do believe that you are the tip of the spear, and there's many behind you, and I honor you for the work you're doing, not only with Widow Jane, but with Sampson and Surrey. And I hope, I've got a good friend, Tracy Franklin. She's at the Jack Initiative.
Yeah.
She was on with us late last year. And I love Tracy, and I love the fact that her, you know, her trajectory has taken her to the Jack Initiative and to Uncle Nearest, and to see that you know, we have a more balanced future, and I think that that's going to make us a better world. So with that, I thank you for your efforts and for your knowledge, for sharing with us. I want to thank all the ladies here today, for sharing a little piece of what you mean to Drew Estate, and thank you. You are the heart and soul of what makes us better, and I'm always going to be honored to say that that Drew Estate leads the way in looking at ways to use ladies, and we're missing Shauna tonight because she couldn't be with us, but Shauna is one of those people that has a very strong position within the cigar world. And Shauna, you do an amazing job for us. It's awesome to have you with us, as well as Laura Torres, who does an amazing job for us, and Paola, who does amazing work behind the scenes for us. So we have an amazing team, and I'm super honored to be part of that with you ladies. So thank you for being part of Six and Sips tonight. You know, we can keep this show going for hours and hours, but you know, people got to go to bed. You know, they can't be drinking whiskey all night, smoking cigars all night. You know, they got to wake up. They got to wake up tomorrow. Thursday's a work day. You know, so I'm gonna ask all of you guys to take a look at this next slide by my man Jack Hare here, and we're still in COVID, so I'm gonna say, hey, listen, support your brick and mortar, support your local liquor stores, and you know, pick up your Widow Jane from them, and help them make it through this tough time. Also, support your local bartending groups, you know, USBG, that are helping bartenders make it. The hospitality world needs your help. They're there for you in the good times, and you need to be there for them in the bad. So follow us at Drew Estate, Cigar, Frankie _ drinks. You know, that's this guy right here, you know, and everybody on the Zoom tonight, Joey, Izzy, Allie, Robin, Kara, Jenny Lynn, Michelle, and Lisa. Thank you so much for being part of Six and Sips. Any last parting comments? This is your time right now. I give you like 15 seconds. Let's go.
Who?
Be nice to your mama.
Yeah. Be nice to your mom. That's it. Be nice to your mama. Be nice to be nice to your female friends in the cigar lounges when you run into them, and enjoy
They'll eat you alive.
company. Enjoy good
Respect
and respect. That's it. 100%.
Respect, above all things, respect. And next week, tune in. It's a big Nika celebration. I've got Juan Martinez from Hoya, Nicaragua. I got Pedro Gomez. I got Henry Pineda. I got Sarah Hirton. This is going to be a party. So, guys, tune in next week. And what can I say? I'm raising my glass to Widow Jane, to Lisa, and to all the ladies of the Liga. Salute. And with that, cheers. I'm out.
Good riddance.